$140,000 a year is the new poverty line in America. The way the poverty line used to be calculated is it was calculated as 3 times the cost of a minimum food diet in 1963 adjusted for inflation. Now, the developer of this formula noticed in 1963 that families spent roughly 1/3 of their income on groceries. If you could calculate and find the minimum adequate food budget at the grocery store, you could multiply by 3 to establish a poverty line. Above, you had a fighting chance, and below, you were in crisis. But we live in very different times today than we did in 1963. Housing costs exploded, healthcare became the largest household expense for many families, employer coverage shrank, and childcare became a market. And in 2024, the data show that food at home is no longer 33% of household spending. For most families, it's 5 to 7%. And if you keep the same logic as the developer had of this equation in 1963, well, the multiplier that you were looking at today is no longer 3, it becomes 16. So that means the poverty threshold is not this 31,200 number, it's between 130,000 and 150,000. Now you might be thinking, we live in different times, there's different variables, and you can't just kind of manipulate this equation. So let's account for those variables. What we're looking at here is a basic needs budget for a family of 4 based on national average data in 2024. As you can see, childcare and housing make up a significant percentage of this budget. You then get to a required net income for just these basic needs of $118,000. Adding federal, state, and FICA taxes of roughly $18,500, and you arrive at that required gross income of $136,500. Just that number is absolutely insane, but that's not even the craziest part of this research. When you move up from those very low incomes to those moderate or high levels of income, there are certain traps set for you. For example, to reach the median household income of $80,000, most families require 2 earners, but the moment you add the second income, you trigger the childcare expense. Now, with that in mind, let's take a look at these examples. At a $35,000 income, you qualify for Medicaid, you have SNAP food benefits, and you also receive heavy childcare subsidies. Their deficits are real, but capped. Now let's say that family earns a $10,000 raise. Sounds good. But at this level in some states, the parents lose Medicaid eligibility. So you had a $10,000 income gain, but your expense increase was $10,567, a net income decrease. Now let's say the family works harder. They get promoted up to $65,000. And around this level, that's where child care subsidies start to vanish. So you had a $20,000 income gain, but the expense increase, $28,000 for that additional child care expense. So in these examples here, a family making $65,000 can actually be in a worse off net income situation than a family making $35,000. We have a lot more to talk about. Make sure you're following for part 2.